Welcome back to Enemy of the State, and this time it's us because I'm looking at the Philadelphia Eagles, their draft, and we're gonna. Let's be real. It was a great haul, but pause. Let's look at it from the Empire side of things, Star Wars, and let's just say things go to and expectations aren't met, and we end up with a middling crew of guys who end up floundering. We got to go best case, worst case scenario. And plus, we're going to look at one more thing connected with the draft, and that being the mini camp. What's up? It's your boy Cintron, coming back at you with another analysis video, and I kid you not, that's my real name. Hey, Eagles draft. So we finished second place in the NFC East, 11-6, but it was a cratering of a season because we had a great collapse. The worst in NFL history, and it was hard to beat that, but we end up losing 6 out of 7 of our the last games. Does that include the playoff game? I don't know, but it was just that bad. So, after starting off 10-1, we went on a precipitous slide, losing to anybody and everybody, to the greats last year in the NFC conference, the Juggernauts, the Cowboys, and the 49ers, to who's list, the Cardinals, the Giants, the middling. But they overachieved last year. The Bucks. We needed some consistency, something to stop something like this from ever happening again. And that is why we embarked on what we did in the draft. Let's look at our top needs. Cornerback, O-line, wide receiver, also safety, linebacker, edge. Defensive tackle we didn't address, but running back. So we had a myriad of things we needed to bring into the organization, and we did some things. Let's look at the guys that we did bring in. So Quinyon Mitchell, obviously he slid to us at 22nd overall. He was projected to be a maybe top 15 pick, but he could have gone as high as top 10 to the Falcons at number 8. They decided to go otherwise, with Michael Penix being a pick, and there begun the craziness of the draft. Saw 6 quarterbacks go in the first round, and hey, what a blessing, because we didn't have to make a move. Previously it was thought we'd have to trade up to around maybe 15 and 16, take them before the Colts do, maybe the Jags do, maybe the Raiders are going to be in on it at 13. But no, he fell all the way to the 22nd pick, and we were fortuitous enough to scoop him right up. But we're going to have to maybe part ways with our 50th or 53rd overall pick was a common thought. There's no way that he was going to slide all the way to our original sliding, but he did, and we scooped him up without a moment's hesitation. The first time Howie's ever scooped up a first round corner, and hey, I was proud. And then he scooped up another guy we'll talk about in a second, reminding us of the 2002 draft when he got Lito Shepherd in the first round out of Florida and Sheldon Brown out of the second round. In the second round out of South Carolina, and then went on to draft Michael Lewis as well out of Colorado. So a great haul that could dynamically overhaul this slow, old, less talented secondary. We'll see how it works out. But Quinyon Mitchell, best case scenario, he comes in, has an immediate impact, starts opposite Darius Slay. Worst case scenario, he gets lost. The talent level is too big of a jump for him, and most likely scenario, I think he comes in and makes an impact. How great we'll see, but I don't think the stage is too big for him. Cooper DeJean, a guy that also slid out of the first round into the second, and Howie said, "Hey, young man, I want to bring you in. You ready to be an Eagle?" He got on the phone real quick with him, and we traded with our division rival, the Washington Commanders. I almost said Redskins because, just old habits. But picked him up at 40, traded our 50th and 53rd pick in the second round to acquire that pick, and got back the third round as well, which, we'll talk about the guy we drafted in a second. But he's a Swiss Army knife. He's, it's believed that we're going to look at him first as an outside corner, and then, look to add more on his plate. But realistically speaking, I think it'd be a shame if he doesn't start for us, or at the very least at nickel. But it is some projection because he never outright played safety. Played some in the slot at the collegiate level. But best case scenario, he's able to lock down a position for us. Maybe opposite what's his name, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, and usurps Reed, or at the very least, I say kicks over the nickel slot and plays a high number of snaps. Worst case scenario, he tries to do he looks worse on the outside than we thought, and he tries to play a myriad of positions, slot corner, quasi safety, and he looks bad at most or all of them. So I think he falls somewhere in the middle. Like he'll have to acclimate. It'll be a lot on his plate, but he'll have less of an impact than Quinion. But slowly as the season gradually goes on, he'll increase the pace and make more of a dent. But I would say temper your expectations of him, because we don't want to overwhelm him in the beginning. Here, Jelix Hunt, talented guy who grew into his body at he started out as a safety and played some receiver in high school. When he got to college, he was going to be a safety at Cornell. He's kept growing though, and he switched over to edge, and he's very raw on the outside. But basic case scenario is he just sees the field and gets a regular handful of snaps, which is not my expectation. Worst case scenario, he I wouldn't even say it's his season, because it's a projection down the road. He never develops into a guy. He just coasts on his athletic traits, and he never goes further. Which this is a long-term projection. Like I said, I think it's going to be like him sitting on the bench. He's going to be like a defrost, basically. Gonna take him out the freezer, let him thaw, and then see how the meat looks. Pause. But I don't expect anything from him this year. Something from him next year, and then really in 2 years, really to see where he is. But this is kind of a long-term doctor checkup, if you will. Will Shipley, talented guy out of Clemson. Not the runner that I wanted. I wanted Isaac Rindo, or I wanted Jalen Wright out of Tennessee, Tyrone Tracy. Let's see, Marshawn Lloyd. I mean, there was a number of guys that I wanted. I don't know if Lloyd was going at this time, but he was not 1, 2, or 3 on my list, and I didn't even think that they would go this route. But alas, here we are. And he has some talent. People saying he's Christian McCaffrey. I'm like, whoa, Christian McCaffrey, whoa, pump the brakes. I think it's just because he's white. I get it, but he does have some talent, and he can run inside, outside, catch the ball. Needs to be more consistent overall on all those things. But best case scenario, he potentially usurps Gainwell in the number 2 role, and starts out at number 3. I would say most likely he stays in that 3rd role and graduates next year. But worst case scenario, he doesn't see the field at all, doesn't make an impact, and is inconsistent when he does see the field and gets run over in pass pro. So I have my concerns about him, like I said, reservations, but we'll see what the young kid brings. Anaya Smith. So we're getting into kind of like just risk being the territory, and reward being, hey, if that's something you reap, great, but it's not too huge a loss. You're not banking on a 5th round pick changing the complexion of your team. But hey, let's assess it anyways. Anaya Smith, guy at Texas A&M, also wasn't my first pick to look at. I would prefer Brendan Rice or his teammate Taj Washington, who I saw as better fits, actually I think faster than him. But he's on the team now, and best case scenario, he comes in, is able to be the gadget guy for us, and steals away some snaps and looks to solidify, move towards nailing down that slot role moving forward. Not necessarily say this year, but he shows some signs he can do it. Worst case scenario, doesn't make any impact, goofs when he gets on the field and gadget plays, and doesn't really show any NFL level explosiveness, and just is a wasted pick on special teams as well. Has a dull impact. So I'm not expecting much from him, but we'll just see what we get, and we'll move from there. Jeremiah Trotter Jr. Was seen as a huge value pick. He was seen as potentially, coming into the season, not now, but potentially a 1st or 2nd round pick, and then more likely a day 2 pick, round 3, and then the bottom kind of fell out, and he was kind of like just save the guy at some point. And it's kind of a PR pick as well, because his father famously maybe kind of played here. Number 54 is the same number he's gonna have in the pros, but you know, you can't compare him. You know, his body types are different, and it was a different NFL. You know, he's more aligned with being a modern day linebacker. That being said, you know, he is on the smaller side, and you know, you'd have some concerns fielding him and Nakobe Dean, which would be the projection maybe next year and going in, because he's going to be our, you know, second or third string linebacker. He's not that too far removed. It's, you know, one of those guys that gets hurt, he might be out there on the field. So best case scenario, he sits and learns and is able to come in and play some snaps. Him winning a starting job, I just don't see that, you know. And he's ready in the event of a Nakobe Dean injury. Worst case scenario, when he does get on the field, he's overwhelmed, too small. You know, he's not able to run around blocks. He, you know, gets swallowed up by those, you know, pulling linemen, and he's not able to make plays in dropping into zones. He's a step too slow because he ran a 4.8, I believe. But hey, it could be the second coming of Edwards that would just left in free agency last year. So I mean, expectations for him are just to be a depth player this year and just to sit and learn. If anything else he's able to provide is just a bonus. Trevor Keegan, guy out of Michigan, you know, did a lot of winning there. He did a lot of starting. I think 30 to 40 starts for him. I think 40. And you know, just, you know, one of those talented guys on the line, those guards that they had there under Jim Harbaugh, Jonathan with the Ravens. But best case scenario is that, you know, he's able to just sit and learn, you know, from a guy like Landon or potentially others. We'll get into that in a short later in the week. But worst case scenario, he gets on the field and he looks horrible, or you know, he gets cut. I don't foresee that happening. I think he's able to sit and learn, absorb, and go to Stoutland University, take a redshirt year, and then really try to see what he can bring to the table next year by way of the depth. You know, see how they value him by who they bring in. Next up, Johnny Wilson, the guy in Florida State, has a huge amount of talent, but you know, he slipped to the sixth round. Thought of formula as maybe a day 2 pick, but I think it's right evaluation for him, given you know, his tools and stuff like that. We'll talk about him in a second. You know, going into rookie minicamp. Best case scenario, he's able to become a weapon in the red zone, and he's able to carve out a niche. Worst case scenario, he never sees the field, and when he does, he doesn't make the use of his tools. So we'll see. He's been talking to guys like Harold Carmichael, the Eagles Hall of Famer, and you know, they have the same similar size with different body types, because he's a lot more solid, bigger in this modern day era. And our last pick, we'll talk about Dylan McMahon, the NC State O-lineman, center, guard, but you know, he's most likely gonna probably major in center here, front and center. Anyways, best case scenario is that, you know, he's able to come in and provide us key depth there. We got Hennessy this year, but he's able to step in and show some signs he could be that guy next year, be number 2. Worst case scenario, he's undersized, doesn't take, you know, isn't able to add weight, you know, to his frame, and gets overwhelmed when he does see the field, and doesn't show us a lot in preseason. But I think realistically speaking, most likely, give him a year in a weight program, and he'll look diametrically opposed to what he does this year, and leave some of those undersized sayings or like typecast aside, and he gets up to like 305, 310, and you know, he's able to give us adequate covering behind Cam Jurgens and become maybe a swing guy on the inside. But anyways, that's my best case, worst case scenario for our guys that we brought in. Let's get into the mini camp and see. Well, not gonna see. You can go look for yourself, but some of the things that we were able to assess. So you know, we haven't held this in many years because of you know, the success we've had, and you know, things went this last season, and he decided, hey, why not do this? So you can see here, man, just some of the guys looking good. I don't know who 80 is, I forgot, but you know, John Ross was looking kind of good. Him running routes. Running drills. He looked fast, looked spry. So I'm interested to see. He isn't a rookie, but obviously he's trying to try out for the team and see what he can bring. And I'm excited, man. He looked a little bit different. I did see Johnny Wilson running off some of his routes. Hopefully he can flesh out some of those details. Flesh things out. He gets some toolage. AJ Brown was watching. I love seeing him there. He stepped into a whole new ballpark, almost $200 million for his career earnings, maybe over that now. But it's good to see that he's vested. He didn't have to be there, but just got to see a familiar face from the program, a guy that they know. I've heard about a lot about, know his name, his resume, and to see that that unofficial tutelage going on. Passing the torch as far as the leadership as well. Guys stepping into different roles. So Quinyon looked good. He looked fluid. As did Cooper DeJean. Trot looked good. So I mean, just in the shorts. It's the shorts Olympics right now, but it's good to just get those guys into the building, get quick assessments, and then get them up to speed as far as what their routine's going to be like as a pro. So there you see our guy AJ Brown. All right. So yeah, Nick basically saying that he's not expecting the world from these guys. They've been training for the combine and training to show up and show out. That's not preparing to be a player. That's peacocking, if you will. Now we're getting into the real meat and potatoes, and trying to get these guys square meals to build up their body up for NFL workouts, if you will. And some takeaways. So we got a guy like some undrafted guys. So there's an undrafted free agents, UDFAs. Hey man, I named Dankwa, and we'll get into this guy in a short maybe later. Trying to strike gold twice, but hey, you can see the size: 6'5", 6'8". Dang. Stoutland's got some raw putty that is quite voluptuous, talented. Pause to work with. All right, Quinyon Mitchell wearing 30, but maybe he'll get 27. Hey, make a deal with Zach, or hey, 24 might be on the ropes if we get that Brad out of the Berry, or the Berry out of Brad. Anyways, Berry to Brad. I like that. Like I said, AJ Brown, out there looking at the receivers, and then Jordan Mailata in the meeting room with the offensive lineman. It's all about, like I said, passing the torch in this generation, and also these guys stepping into new leadership roles. With our loss of Jason Kelsey, Fletcher Cox, Brandon Grahams. This is last year. Lane Johnson, how long do we have him for? Don't know. So it's great to see guys stepping up into new roles and welcoming those with open arms. We'll get into that at a future date, but hey, he might have slipped. Special teams, hey, XFL, we're taking it from them in their kickoffs. I'm excited to see how that goes. We've got, like Cooper DeJean that can be a special teamer that offers, versatility. It's not just our main return guy, a Covey, Britton Covey right now. Anaya Smith can offer that. The recently returned cornerback, Isaiah Rodgers. I want to see him on kick return. 4.27 speed, give me that. Anyways, we'll dive into that in another video. But anyways, you're not even watching though, but it's all good. It's a love making these videos, and I love talking about the freaking Philadelphia Eagles. So we'll chunk the deuces officially, but as always, it's fly Eagles fly, and let's motherfucking go. Like, comment, share, subscribe Thanks for watching. Check me out at Cintron Anime, Cintron Life, or Cintron Laughs, or other social media.